name is Jenna and today I'm doing my movie and TV show wrap up for July of 2018. In July I managed to watch 20 movies. That's because for a week I was super sick, so all I did was sit on the couch and watch movies all day, as you can probably imagine. The majority of these movies are actually rewatches, so I am going to kind of skim through the rewatches a little bit, otherwise this video will go on for hours and hours and hours. So first up, as always, we're going to start with the TV show that I watched this month. The TV show I watched was Big Bang Theory season 11, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. So The Big Bang Theory is one of my favourite sitcoms and one of my favourite television shows of all time. I just really connect with the characters. I find the jokes still really funny. I know a lot of people think that the show has gone a bit downhill. There were a couple seasons in the middle that were like a little bit iffy, but the show has gotten so good again. I freaking adore it. I actually watched this in one day. I just sat down and was like, I'm watching season 11. So I binged it in one day and I ended up in tears. It was just so good. Moving on to the movies that I watched this month, the first movie was a rewatch and that was Hotel Transylvania 2, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. In the same vein as Hotel Transylvania 2 is just like a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. It's just one of those movies that you can put on when you're feeling a little down and you just need something to laugh at, and that was definitely that movie for me. So in July, I found out that they were putting the Fast and Furious movies up on Netflix. So as you can imagine, the day they went on Netflix, I have myself a bit of a marathon. So the next movie that I watched this month was The Fast and the Furious, which was a rewatch, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. The funny thing about the Fast and Furious franchise is I shouldn't like it because I am not a car person. I think it's stupid. I think car racing is stupid. I don't know why I love this franchise so much. Well, I mean, I understand why I like the further on films once they move away from like the street racing and is more about like the stupid heists and they're now spies and everything. That's my kind of film and I love it. The original movie I adore. I think it's because of the characters. The characters are just so great and really well rounded and just they make like working together, they just make this really awesome team. So I think that's probably why I like it so much, but it's just so weird when I tell people that I'm like a real big fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. Just look at me and they're like, no you're not. I'm like, yes I am. Next movie was another rewatch. That was Too Fast, Too Furious, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars to. I think the reason I don't like this film as much is because the only characters from like the big franchise that we get to see are Brian, Tej and Roman, and I think, you know, it didn't work for me as much because like I said, I don't know why I like the earlier films because they were very much just like street racing films, and I think the reason why is because of the relationship between the characters, and I just didn't believe that as much in this movie. Fourth movie I watched this month was another rewatch. That was Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, which I gave 2 out of 5 stars to. Unfortunately, I'm really not a fan of Tokyo Drift, even though I know, you know, it really fits well into the canon, but I don't like it very much. I, once again, think it's because it's more about street racing and less about the characters from the first film, so it's probably why I don't like it. Fifth movie I watched this month was another rewatch and was Fast and Furious, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. This one is where it starts to come back for me because we start to see the characters from the first film again, so like we see Letty and Dom and Mia, and I just love it. I don't have a lot to say about the Fast and Furious franchise except that I love it. Sixth movie that I watched this month was another rewatch, and that was Fast 5, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. The thing about Fast 5 is it always makes me want to go back to Rio because the whole film is set in Rio and you get like these awesome landscape shots, and I just look at it and I'm like, I want to go back to Rio so badly. So every time I watch it, that's like all I can think about. But this is the film that kind of shifts the franchise a little bit from street racing films to proper heist films. And I think that's the point where I like really start to love it. And of course we're really solid with the characters that we've got, and I'm like, yeah, this is looking more like my franchise. Seventh movie I watched this month was Fast and Furious 6. It was a rewatch and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This is definitely where I'm at. I mean, the whole thing, like, I love London. I love London. I want to live there one day. So the fact that you got like a London setting, Luke Evans is the bad guy. I'm like, you can't go wrong with that movie. You literally can't. Eighth movie I watched this month was another rewatch. That was Godzilla, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars to. The thing about Godzilla and Kong and everything, all those monster movies, when I first saw Godzilla, I watched it on a plane and I was like, this is terrible. Like, it's not a good movie. Rewatching it this time, I was kind of like, no, you know what? This isn't as bad as I thought it was. And I just watched the trailer for Godzilla King of Monsters. Oh wow, that looks so good. But back to Godzilla, I just we didn't see Godzilla much and the characters were not the most likable. So I just had some issues with the film, but overall I ended up really enjoying it. And then the 9th movie that I rewatched this month was Kong Skull Island, which I give 3 out of 5 stars to. I don't even know why I was rewatching them. I think they got put up on Netflix and I was like, yeah, you know, why not? So I like Kong because Tom Hiddleston wears like a really tight shirt. So I'm into that, but I just I don't know about these movies. They're like, it's kind of like the Transformers franchise for me. I love the Transformers franchise because they're just fun movies that you can watch things blow up. This is kind of the same. You can just watch this movie for fun where you just watch like big monsters fighting other big monsters. I like those sorts of films. They're really stupid, but I enjoy them. So I enjoyed this one. 10th movie that I watched this month was not a rewatch, and that was This Is 40, which I gave 2 out of 5 stars to. Although I love Paul Rudd, I am not a fan of these types of films with this kind of humor. It's not my thing. I didn't find any of the jokes funny. I found it really crude. Although I do have to say, in that film though, I was the elder teenage daughter, right? Like she was obsessed with Lost and she was like, all she wanted to do was watch Lost, talk about Lost. She cried watching the finale and I was just like, it's me. So that was kind of cool. But I think the other reason why I really didn't enjoy this movie was because that was the night that I was that was the first night that I got super sick, so I was just not feeling it at all. 11th movie that I watched this month was another rewatch, and that was National Treasure, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. The thing about the National Treasure movie is that it's good. Like, it's not good in a way that if it was made today, people would like it. But because of when it was made and because of how old I was when it came out, I really loved it. The bad thing is I learnt a lot of my American history from that film, so you know. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot, I enjoyed the mystery and the treasure hunting. It felt like I was really on a treasure hunt and I loved it. And also Sean Bean's in it and doesn't die. So that's kind of cool. 12th movie I watched was another rewatch. That was National Treasure Book of Secrets, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. Book of Secrets is not as good as the first National Treasure film. I don't think there was ever going to be a way it was going to live up to the first one. But I did really enjoy it. We got to see Ben's mum, who brought another, that was Helen Mirren, so she brought like another layer into the cast. The film was still really good. I loved getting this idea of like maybe the president has this secret book, and it made me think, and I still think about the fact that maybe the president has a secret book. I can't not think about it. It makes sense, right? It makes sense that he would have one and that he would like keep everything. So yeah, I don't know, it makes sense, which again, learning American history from these movies is not a good idea, but what are you gonna do about it? 13th movie that I watched this month was another rewatch, and that was Mamma Mia, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. I think I rewatched it last month as well. I can't help it, I love this movie. I love Mamma Mia. It's one of these films that gets you up on your feet and dancing and just makes you want to sing all the time, and it doesn't try to take itself too seriously, because like what girl has 3 possible fathers and then just kind of rolls with it? Like it doesn't try to take itself too seriously, and that's what I love. It's literally just a fun film celebrating ABBA music, and I love it to pieces. Next movie that I watched was another rewatch, and that was Love, Simon, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. So even though I'd already seen Love, Simon and I've read Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda twice, I still cried. Like watching the film, I was sobbing. I was like, this is so beautifully done. Because it was. It is a beautifully done film. It perfectly captures the essence of what Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda is about, and I really enjoyed watching it for a second time, especially now that I've read Leah on the Offbeat. I concentrated a lot of my viewing power on Leah and Abby, and I wanted to see kind of what they did with that, and they really played that up, so I'd be curious to see if they make Leah on the Offbeat into a film. I'd be curious to kind of see how that worked. Next movie that I watched this month was another rewatch, and that was Cheaper by the Dozen, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. Cheaper by the Dozen was one of my favourite films growing up. I loved the idea of a really big family. I also, now that I'm older, think about Kate and I'm just like, oof, 12 kids? No thank you. But I really love the film. It really does promote this sense of family and unity and what it means to be a family and sacrifice and all this sort of stuff. So it's just a really fun film. I have to say though, the most unbelievable thing in that film is not that Kate and Tom had 12 kids. It's that Kate's book gets published in like 3 months. Not even that. She sends a copy of her manuscript off to her friend in publishing. Like maybe, how long would it take to move from Middleton to, I think they maybe take like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month to move. Then they get to the new house and then Diane calls her and is like, hey, we're gonna publish your book. I'm like, okay, awesome, yeah, that's kind of cool. She then leaves for a 2-week book tour and the book's published already. And I'm like, no, because what about all your editing and all your marketing and all your needing to do covers, and with the edit you got like 5 different editors you have to do. You do like structural edits and line edits and copy edits, and I'm like, that can't be done in 2 weeks. So that's the most unbelievable thing about that film. 16th film that I watched this month was another rewatch, and that was Star Trek, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. When I talk about Star Trek, I'm talking about the newest series of films. So I think this one came out in 2009, the one with Chris Pine. I love this film. Watching these movies has made me want to continue with my Star Trek watch, because I did start watching the original series, and it's so campy and it's really difficult to get through. I can only watch like 1 episode at a time because I'm like, it's so cringy and campy. Luckily, the new film is nothing like that. I love the characters, even though they are like recycled characters, but they're rebooted, and I love the way they've rebooted the franchise, and it's just so much fun getting to see everybody and getting to have some action and some space thingies. So I really enjoyed the Star Trek movie. 17th movie that I watched this month was not a rewatch, and that was Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. Not going to talk too much about this film, as I did do a full movie review of it, which I will leave linked in the description box below, so you can go check that one out if you want to hear more of my full thoughts. The 18th movie that I watched this month was Hotel Transylvania 3, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars to. Unfortunately, while I did still really enjoy this third film, it did lack something that the first 2 films had. I'm not sure what it was. I think the fact that Johnny wasn't in it as much. Johnny for me makes the films. I don't know. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoy the characters and the plot, but it did lack something that the first 2 films had, and I am definitely hoping that they don't go any further with this. This is a franchise that is stuck to being a trilogy. Although it's funny because it's one of those films that when Hotel Transylvania first came out, you never expected it to become a franchise, but here we are. Then the 19th movie that I watched this month, I actually went and saw twice, and that is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. So I am obsessed with the Mamma Mia movie, if you haven't already kind of guessed. So I had hyped Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again up like you wouldn't believe. Like, I'd watched lots of clips, behind the scenes, but the one thing I wouldn't do is I refused to listen to the songs. The only song I listened to was When I Kissed the Teacher, because I wanted to hear Lily James sing, and I listened to Dancing Queen because they brought a lyric video, and I was like, well, the thing about Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is it's really emotional. So the first Mamma Mia movie is just like a really upbeat, fun kind of film. You're up and you're dancing. The second film just punches you in the guts. It punches you in the emotional feels, and I wasn't expecting that. So when the film opens with Sophie singing, and immediately I just went, oh no, I'm gonna cry. I did start crying. There's a line that young Donna says. She says something along the lines of, the world is wide and I want to make some memories. And honestly, that is my new motto and what I want to live by. The world is wide, I want to make some memories. That is exactly what I want to do with my life. So thank you, young Donna, for that inspiration. Unfortunately, from there, it kind of like gets more and more emotional, and you go through this roller coaster watching young Donna fall in love with Sam, Bill and Harry, and just, I cried many, many times. So I started crying possibly as early as you pretty much could. Pretty much anytime they sang, I started crying. And then I started really crying like the further into the film I got. My mum cried. My grandmother cried. It's a film that really hits you emotionally, but does it in such a way that you absolutely love it. And then the last movie that I watched this month was another rewatch, and that was Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to, because I'm obsessed with the Jurassic World franchise and I love that movie and just had to see it again. Thank you very much for watching. Those are the 20 movies and the 1 TV show that I watched in the month of July. Let me know in the comment section below if you have seen any of them and what you thought. I would absolutely love to know. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.